Welcome back to Poker Tales from Across the Table. I'm your host, Rico, your poker storyteller, rounder, and full time analyzer at the Felt. Today's episode is titled Rounders Seeing the Patterns in Poker. This episode is about rhythm, that invisible pulse running underneath the cards, the bets, the players, the room itself. Rhythm is that rare moment when the deck feels like it's breathing with you, when every hand, good or bad or downright trash, somehow finds a way to win, when the energy tilts in your favor and the game becomes inevitable. This tale begins in Las Vegas, Nevada, the city where dreams cash out big and nightmares get comped with a free drink. It was early 2000s, right as the poker boom was stretching its legs and waking up to the world. My brother and I drove in from California, two kids with wide eyes and even wider ambitions, convinced destiny was waiting somewhere between the neon lights and the velvet robes. After the long drive, we checked into our rooms, grabbed a quick nap, and met back up, rested, hungry, and ready to chase stardom one pot at a time. Our first battleground, the Bellagio, the home of big stacks, big egos, and bigger pots. My brother, still building his bankroll, headed to the smaller stakes. I took my seat in the high middle stakes, the classic 24-40 limit game, where every bet clicks forward in clean $20 increments. As I sat down, I felt the table studying me, every player trying to decode the newcomer. Was I a shark, a gambler, or just another tourist with a wallet full of hope? My very first hand. Ace Queen of Hearts. A beautiful opener. I fire the first bet. Get four callers and we see a flop. Ace Ace Queen. A full house on the flop. I check. A little trap to see who wants to dance. Two players check behind me. Then finally someone tosses out a $20 bet. Showtime. I raise. Everybody calls. Interesting. Either they're curious, stubborn, or about to donate. The turn brings another diamond. The board now shows a possible flush. But I'm still miles ahead. I check again. Another check. Then a $40 bet. Another player bumps it to 80. I re-raise to 120. One player falls. Two call. The pot swells to around $650. The river comes. The third diamond hits. I bet 40. One folds. Then the last player raises. I raise back. She re-raises. And suddenly we're in a limit game war. Raise, re-raise, raise, re-raise, until both our stars are marching into the middle like soldiers with no choice but to fight. We each started with about 2,000. By the end, the pot was around 5,000. I showed that I flopped the nuts. She shows the king high flush. A beautiful hand, but not beautiful enough. I dragged the pot. And that's when I felt it. That shift, that spark, that rhythm. The next hand, I get Queen of Spades, 10 of Diamonds. Not premium, but playable. The flop comes, Ace King 4, giving me plenty of outs. Three players see the flop. Betting continues, and the pot grows around to $300. The turn, another club. Flush draw appears. Then the river, Jack of Hearts, completing my straight and dodging the flush. I bet. The last player folds. Another pot slides my way. Now I know I'm on a heater. The deck isn't just cooperating, it's performing. So I test it. I play the 7 deuce, the worst hand in poker. The hand you fold even if the dealer accidentally gives you 3 cards. The flop. 2 pair, the turn, a full house. Another pot, another scoop. The table looks at me like I'm bending reality. Because sometimes you are. As the night continued, I could feel the rush, and I could not lose. I played loose with my starting hands and chips, moving from table to table and getting the same results. After a few hours of playing, and winning about 80% of my hands, I decided to take a break, after winning roughly $8,000, including the first 2,000 I started with. This was a good night, since I could feel that rhythm of the game that was in my favor. On our second night in Vegas, I asked my brother how he'd done after the first session. He told me he made a small profit, but not nearly what he hoped for. I shared with him the rhythm that I felt that night, the kind of positive flow where every decision feels guided, every hand seems to cooperate. I told him that night was a fresh start, and maybe he'd catch the same energy I rode the night before. We headed to the Venetian, another massive poker room, with plush seats built for long sessions. We were ready to grind through. Once again, we split up and headed to our assigned tables. Feeling a bit more cautious this time, I chose a 10-20 limit game, just to test the waters and see if the poker gods were still on my side. My first hand, pocket tens. Another strong starting hand, maybe the rhythm was still there. I raised to 30 from middle position after an early raise. We ended up with 4 players seeing the flop and about $100 in the pot. The board came ace jack 8. Rainbow. Not ideal for my tent, but I still had outs. A 10 could save me, maybe even a straight. The turn brought the queen of diamonds. One player bets 20, another called, and a third folded. I paused. A 10 now could give someone else a straight. Another diamond could give someone a flush. My tens weren't looking nearly as strong as they had pre-flop. Still, I called to see one more card. The river dropped, the 5 of diamonds. Early position bet again. Now I had a decision. Bet with a hand that was likely crushed, raise to induce a bluff, or fold. The odds were not in my favor, so I let it go. The late position player re-raised, and the 2 remaining players went to war. When the chips were finally in the middle, the late position player showed a 10 high flush. Early position mucked. I lost about $60, but I knew I made a solid fold. No time to dwell, on to the next hand. On my very next hand, I get an ace-king offsuit, another premium starting hand. I raised from middle position, and got 4 callers. The flop came deuce-deuce-9, another rainbow board, again, not favorable. Everybody checked to me, so I tossed out a $20 bet to test the waters. The next player raised, 2 others called, and I could see the turn. The turn brought the 10 of hearts, still no help. Everybody checked to me, and I checked behind. The next player bet 20, 1 caller came along, and I folded. The river was the 5 of spades. The 2 remaining players battled, and the winner showed deuce 10 for a full house. At this point, I started asking myself, how do I keep getting great starting hands, but the board refuses to cooperate? The answer came later that night. As the hours passed, I couldn't win a single hand. My reads were sharp, my decisions were correct, but the cards simply weren't falling my way. By the end of the session, I lost about a third of what I'd won the night before. That's when I realized the truth. The poker gods weren't with me that night. No matter how well I played, good hands or bad, I was destined to lose. Unfortunately, I realized it a bit too late, and a third of my hard-earned stack vanished into the Vegas film. These 2 examples, winning with good hands, winning with bad hands, losing with good hands, and losing with bad hands, reveal the truth every seasoned player eventually learns. The poker gods can giveth and taketh away in an instant. Some players call it luck, good or bad, but the reality is far more interesting. A disciplined player can create their own luck, and even in rough waters, they can continue to minimize losses and maximize winnings. What's the secret, you ask? There is no secret. It's the foundation of the poker theory itself, captured perfectly in David Solansky's fundamental theorem of poker. Every time you play a hand differently from the way you would have played if you could see all your opponent's cards, they gain. And every time you play your hand the same way you would have played it if you could see all their cards, they lose. So what does this mean for you, and how can you monetize it? It means that poker has a rhythm, a flow, a pulse. When you understand what your opponents hold through experience, careful observation, and recognizing patterns at the table, you naturally make decisions that align with profitable play. When you ignore that information, you lose, plain and simple. This rhythm helps you monetize your game by teaching you the difference between when to fold and when to push. If you find yourself winning with marginal, or unfavorable hands, you're likely on a heater, or a run of strong cards, strong flops, and strong momentum. But when you notice a pattern of bad hands and bad flops, instead of blaming luck and doubling your next bet out of frustration, play smart. Recognize that this is not the moment to force your rhythm. Bet small, see cheap flops, and protect your stack. And when the rhythm turns, when the cards fall your way, when your reads sharpen, when your opponent's patterns become clear, that's when you press your bets and maximize your winnings. This is the rhythm of the game. Lose the least, win the most. Knowing the difference will make or break your bankroll. Everybody can see the patterns, but few understand them. These are the hard lessons of poker, the ones most players struggle to understand. Too many let luck, fear, or emotion dictate their decisions. But that's a losing strategy, one that must be avoided at all costs. You have to think of your chips not as money, but as soldiers waiting to be deployed into battle. The moment you start attaching dollar signs to those chips, imagining your stack as the next month's mortgage payment or the down payment on a new car, that's when scared money takes over. And scared money is a disability at the table. It weakens your decisions, clouds your judgment, and turns every prod into a threat instead of an opportunity. Poker demands separation, money from chips, fear from action, emotion from strategy. Once you learn to detach the value of the chips from the value of money, the game transforms. Poker becomes a contest of will, discipline, and execution. Think of it like war. There is no empathy in poker. Your chips are soldiers, and soldiers want to win. As a player who is a general, your job is to position those soldiers in the best possible formation, to attack when the advantage is yours, to retreat when the battle is lost, and to outmaneuver opponents who are trying to do the same. These are the true lessons of poker. They will either make you or break you. But no matter the outcome, always remember to enjoy the game. Wealth in poker isn't just measured in dollars, it's a state of mind, one that most profitable players understand long before the chips ever hit the felt. As I stepped outside into the warm Vegas night, I realized something profound. Rhythm isn't just a part of poker, it's a part of life. Some days you're riding the heater, stacking pots with seven deuce like the universe is stealing from your personal deck. Other days, even pocket tens and ace kings betray you. But the players who thrive, the ones who last, the ones who learn to recognize the rhythm, respect it, and move with it instead of against it, lose the least, win the most. That's the rhythm of the game. And once you learn to hear it, you'll never play poker the same way again. Thanks for joining me for episode 6 of Poker Tales from Across the Table. In the next episode, we'll break down a skill every poker player needs, learning the 4 stages of poker. Number 1, odds and probabilities. Number 2, reading the player. Number 3, understanding the psychology and feeling the rhythm. Make sure to subscribe, share the show, and leave a review if you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, play smart, stay aware, and remember, the table is always watching.